Lord, I hear the dishwasher. Our dishwasher's getting ready to take a hike. There we go. Okay. All right, come on in, everybody. Come on. Hello and welcome. I'm Tammy. This is Lance.
How you doing?
We're the Journey to Healing team, and we are here to help you through your journey. Most of us do the Dr. Boz style, so we do this step by step. Most of you that know my backstory, you guys know I'm a cancer survivor, and this is being Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're trying to feature as many special people as we can. So this tonight we've got Rebecca, and the cool part of this is, the type of cancer that I have is triple negative, which is very uncommon. It's a very aggressive, very uncommon kind of cancer. So to find another survivor that's a triple negative, that's about my age, it's just amazing to have somebody to see somebody else that made it through the journey. And if anybody doesn't understand what the triple negative means, just know it means they're going to kick you with everything that they got to try to save your life. It's one of those, you either make it or you don't, and it's a rough road. And my doctor's quote to me was he was going to get me as close to death as he could get me and bring me back. And Rebecca's had about that same journey. The cancer didn't kill us, but the journey almost did, and the treatment almost did. So it's one of those learning to come back from that and reversing the damage that chemo does to us. When the minute they put that chemo in your vein, it's like life just changes. And every organ, from your thyroid to your liver to the neuropathy, everything I struggled with was due to some kind of side effect of the chemo. Until we found nutritional ketosis with Dr. Boz's version of it, it was just handfuls of meds and prescriptions, and everything was the only help they offer you is just, here, take this and go home, take this and go home, and you're fine. And that's just, be happy you're alive. And you hate to sound ungrateful, because we're just happy to be alive, but I want life to be as good as it can be. And until we found this journey, I know my life was totally going downhill quick. And this is the journey that turned it around for me. So I just can't wait for all you guys to hear Rebecca's story, because it's so similar and she has done the work. It's not been an easy ride with us. We don't have the chemistry that you just do this step for a week and it kicks in and it's all nice and fun. We're the ones that got to beat our heads against the wall for months and months and months before anything connects. So Rebecca, I'm just so proud to be on this journey with you, from one survivor sister to another. You are just an inspiration. So come on in, share your story as much as you're comfortable sharing, and tell us how the keto journey helped you. So come on in.
So I don't know exactly where to start, but I thought, I asked my husband, I said, so where do I start? Because it's not that the keto journey for me started with cancer. I had already been trying many different things, Atkins and all these different things that would work for a time, and I would lose some weight. I would get a little bit, I felt better. But my weight problem, which was really a metabolic problem, started way back when I was like 30. So it's everything broke at that time. I don't know why. Well, now I know why. It was because this had been going on since I was 10, but didn't know it. I didn't have a weight problem until I was 30. But before then, I was hypoglycemic, which I would be fainting. I'd have all these different problems, and nobody understood why. Nobody knew how to fix it. I just discovered I had a wellness doctor that I was working with for a time, because I had this spinal virus thing that almost took me out when I was 16. And he just happened to be way beyond his time of how to help people with different problems. And one of the things he had was, he understood the hypoglycemia thing. He did lots of testing for me and determined it. Because of glucose tolerance tests that I kept failing. And then he put me on a very weird kind of diet that was contrary to everything that people should be eating at that time. And it was mostly lower carbs. But it wasn't really keto. It was just less of a problem. So it helped stabilize my blood sugar somewhat and made me have a kind of normal life. And then I had 2 children and I recovered from that. But of course, I blew up like crazy each pregnancy. And then I lost all the weight afterwards. So I thought, I'm just like other women. I'm just doing better than some because I'm not keeping all the weight on. Because the doctors kept saying, you gained 65 pounds. You're going to have this for the rest of your life. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I lose all the weight. And then I hit 30. And at 30, something went wrong. And now I know it was the insulin's resistance problem, but I didn't understand why. And I just kept gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining weight. Fast forward to trying every diet known to man, everything my doctors told me, it just made me sicker and sicker and sicker. By the time I was 49, that's when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it was funny because I just had my first grandchildren. Everything was so exciting. We bought a vacation house. My career was really taking off as a marriage and family therapist. And I was just tired all the time. And I didn't understand why. I'd been struggling for, at that point, almost 20 years of just not being able to really like have the energy I used to have, but I didn't understand why. And so then I feel this lump in my breast. I had been diligent on my breast, scans and everything else. And then here we are, I find the lump. But we just bought the house. We're just planning to go out on the lake with the kids and everything else. It was so exciting. And I'm like, okay, it's going to go away. I'm sure it's going to go away. It didn't go away. So that was September. Finally, January is when I finally went. I thought after Christmas, because it wouldn't go away. It would actually kind of go away, and then it would come back, kind of go away, come back. And I'm like, that's not what cancer does. So it's a hormonal thing. I'm sure it's that. I wasn't even perimenopausal at this time. And so anyway, so now I break down, I go in, I see my doctor, and she's like, oh, I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it's nothing. Don't worry. We'll have a scan. But I couldn't get into the place I normally went because they were so backed up. So I had to go to a different imaging center. And this imaging center didn't really do breast cancer. I mean, that's not what they did. But they did and the girl's like, oh, wow. Yeah, I can see it. No problem. She could feel it, the whole bit. So my doctor says, okay, well, we got to get you into the real place for the real digital, mammogram of the whole bit, and we'll see what's what. I couldn't get in for 2 months. They couldn't get me in. So I'm praying about it, trying to figure out what to do. I knew there was something really wrong. And everybody who could feel it could feel the lump. So anyway, finally, they had an opening early on Valentine's Day, 2007. So my husband and I jokingly said, it's either going to be the worst day of our life or it's going to be the most wonderful day. Because, and here's the part I didn't tell you, my husband's mother had died of breast cancer and his grandmother had died of breast cancer. And so I didn't want that for my family. Nobody in my family has cancer, no kind of cancer. Like it just doesn't happen. So I'm like, this can't be true. This can't be true. But I kept thinking there's something really, really wrong. And so anyway, I go in, at this particular place, which is fantastic. It's the breast center at Whittier Presbyterian Hospital here in California. And it is designed to put women at ease. It's the best place you could ever go because you can actually walk in there, have a mammogram, and they see a problem. And if they have the space, and I had set this up just in case, they will do an actual ultrasound that moment. And then they can do an actual biopsy right there on the spot, which most of the time you don't get that. You're like 3 weeks out waiting for these stupid second tests and then another test and another test. And it's so exhausting and so anxiety provoking. And so anyway, so I had it all done in that one day. And we walked out of there realizing, and then the woman who was doing it, she had just started there. But she was from, I think, like the Cleveland Clinic, someplace like that. She just transferred there. And I sat in the waiting room reading the bio of this radiologist, okay, this doctor. And I thought, ooh, I hope she gets to look at my scans. I didn't realize that she took a personal interest and did. So she walks in and I'm looking like this is a celebrity walking in to deal with me. And she says, I'm sure it's nothing. What you're telling me, it's not going to be anything. She's doing the ultrasound. And she goes, there's all these reasons why it could be. She starts telling me all these things, but then she puts the wand on me. And as she puts it on me, I'm looking at, I had her turn the screen so I could see, because I'm just a curious person anyway. And I have a medical training anyway. So I'm like, I know kind of what I'm looking at. So she starts scanning it and she's just chatting away. And then she stops and she goes, oh, let me do this again. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, what? And she goes, well, I think we've got a problem here. I got to do a biopsy to be sure. If you can stay, we will do it. And I'm like, okay. And I started to cry. And because I was really hoping that I was wrong, but I wasn't wrong. And I could tell by the look on her face, this brilliant woman who has, this is her work, her life work is to do this for women. And she was hoping it wasn't true too. So then it's funny because she goes, okay, why don't you go have some lunch and come back and we'll do this. So I go out to the lobby. And the reason I started to cry was because I was worried for my husband. Because I'd already made peace with this. Like, if this is what's happening, I'll do everything I can, but I know where I'm going. So that's okay. But I've got these three grandchildren at this point, and two of them were just almost a year. They weren't even a year old yet. And I wanted to be part of their lives. So anyway, we go. My husband's like, what? We're doing this? Because the poor guy, he was like, I know this isn't true. We're not real. It's not really happening. It's not happening. Because he's a really optimistic person, but it was happening. So we went back. I did the biopsy. And she says, she gave me her personal card and said, you could call me, but I will call you as soon as we get the results in. So 2 days later, we got the results. She actually called my doctor. My doctor called me and had me come in. And this was so sad. So my doctor, who I don't think she'd ever told anyone that they had cancer before, she made the appointment like at 5, like when they're closing the office. I go in and I already know if they're calling me in, it's a problem. So I go in and I sit there and I wait, and she's finishing up with everybody else. She comes in, this little young, I mean, such a sweetheart of a little girl. And she says to me, she tells me, and it's funny because I knew it was true. I just didn't know what we were going to be doing. She already had me planned to see the surgeon like 2 days later. She had it all worked out for me to where I was going to do to get this on really fast. They didn't even know at this point that it was triple negative. They didn't know all of these things. They just knew it was super aggressive. And so what we end up going, but what's funny, when we walked out, my husband goes, I think you were comforting her. And I'm like, because she was so, like, it was really hard for her to do this. And I thought, okay, well, anyway, I was already prepared. I didn't want to go, but I was prepared. So then within 3 weeks, we went in and had a full mastectomy because the tumor was so large by this point that they thought they couldn't do like a lumpectomy or anything. And they did because there was one lymph node that looked like it was suspicious. They did a biopsy on that, which was super painful. That came back like suspicious for cancer. That's what they said. So then we did a complete removal of all of the lymph nodes on my left side, my arm, my whole chest, and up to my neck, because that's what they thought was the safest thing, because the doctor was certain it had spread through my body because it was so aggressive. And it's weird when you get these pathology, you don't really know how to read it. You don't know but you just have to trust what they're telling you. And so they had a really good team that they put together to help me. So many things went wrong on it because I don't heal well. Well, I didn't used to heal well. And so it made it harder. So many things they're trying to do. It's like, okay, here's what normally happens. But then there's these people, the outlier people, where, only 5% of people have this problem or that. Well, of course, I have all these problems. And so, yeah, I know it's the same thing, Tammy. It's like we get this. And then when I find out what kind of cancer it is, I'm like, okay, what's the treatment? Because everybody knows that they've made all these strides in breast cancer treatment, right? Not for this kind of breast cancer.
Not for triple negative, they don't.
No, it's so rare. Oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, and I don't hope this doesn't sound weird, but the women who normally have this almost always are African American.
Mhm.
So I'm like sitting there going, I don't understand this. I
You
have
know any two whiter people than me? Like,
don't think
we don't
so.
get more albino than we
No,
are.
no, it's crazy. And
Yep.
so, but it's so weird because it tends to run in women with insulin resistant problem, but hyperinsulinemia or whatever the heck the thing is we have. And so we are just at risk for it. And they're going to see more women. I'm sure of that.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
just that when this happened in 2007 for me, they just weren't used to seeing it. So like my doctors freak out. It's like, oh, okay, she's not going to make it. That's what I mean, they're telling me we're going to do this, we're going to do this, but we're really just trying to save your life. So every treatment is going to be frankly awful. And there's so many things that will go wrong. It's like, okay, so what do you want? Do you want to have neuropathy? Well, no, but if I don't do this, there's a chance that I
To
won't.
die either.
They take you in and tell you that in order to start chemo, after you go through the horror of the mastectomy, which is not easy, and if you don't have your lymph nodes removed, apparently it's nowhere near as painful. I didn't know that. But apparently that's a big deal. But then after that, then you have to be well enough to have the chemo. And then they make you go and have a scan of your heart because they want to make sure your heart can handle it. But the real reason is, that's what they tell you. The real reason is they want to cover themselves because if I end up dying from it, they can blame the fact that I already had a heart condition. And so they do this. And so anyway, so you have to go and do this test just to say that you're well enough to take this stupid crap in your body that you don't want to do. And one of the chemos that they gave me was this thing called, I can't remember what it's called. It sounds like erythromycin, but that's not what.
Adriamycin.
Yeah, yeah. So they tell you
Red Devil.
yeah, I was going to say red death. Yeah, so they tell you that you can't take it, like can't put it in your normal, goodie bag of in stuff that they're putting in your body because it's so toxic. So they have to have a special nurse that slowly injects it into your vein, which I then for a very long time had this black line from where they put it in my arm. And it
Rebecca,
started.
here, let me
Yeah.
jump in for just a second. My nurse that put my adriamycin in me, she come over and she's like double and triple gloved. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what? I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, why do you need triple gloves to put that in me? She's like, this stuff's really potent. I'm like, you're putting it in my vein? Like,
right.
I mean, and they don't think anything of it. We'll just triple glove, it'll be all right. And here, let me juice you up. So I mean,
And
you
when you
almost
allow
gotta laugh.
yourself to think about it, it's horrifying
It is. And the
because,
hard
and I
thing,
can't,
they tell you how much damage it's going to do. But hey, are you okay if we damage your heart a little bit? Well,
yeah, yeah.
is that what I got to do to live?
Yeah. I
So
mean, and then the things that everybody thinks about are things like, well, you're going to lose all your hair.
that's the least of my
Okay.
worries.
Yeah, well, it was awful. Okay. I'm really and truly, it was pretty stinking awful. But the thing about it was that's the least of it. That's the least of it.
Your
This
hair,
is so barbaric. It's like they got to come up with something better. And
Right.
so, but the thing is that I'm here. Tammy's here.
Yep.
amen.
We survived it.
Yep.
Tammy's a couple of years. I think when was yours, Tammy?
I
2005.
was 2002, so I'm 22
Oh,
years in. So
okay, yeah. So
22 years in on a 5-year survival rate. So
yeah. Mine, they told me you got 2 years. If we can get you through these first 2 years,
yep.
then you'll probably die within 70%, then I'll die within 10. It's 17 years. Okay.
Nice.
The statistics are so crummy. It's like there's nothing on it. And what's weird is you're never free.
You're never rooming. Yeah.
No, you're never in. So it's like, Tammy, you said you got to ring a bell. They didn't even do that at my place. It's like the third. So the last treatment of it, and each time it's worse. Like the first time, they don't know what they're doing with your cocktail. So you're like, I was vomiting and diarrhea for 10 hours. It was horrible.
Oh,
Second time they figured it out, they got it better. So, but every time you go in to do it, it's like you got to steel yourself emotionally up to go put yourself through this again. You know it's going to be bad. You're hoping it's going to be better this time, but it's not. But then within a few days, you kind of recover somewhat. And because I'm kind of a health nut, I mean, I was like, I knew that if I could work out, and I'm talking, it wasn't anything strenuous, but if I could do these things, if I could take care of myself, I would recover to do the next one. And you're just doing that until you get done with it. And when you're done, they basically say, well, that's your last treatment. Go on with your life. Meanwhile, I'm like having these weird phantom neuropathy pains that were so painful. And they go, well, that happens sometimes. It'll get better over time. Well, it did, okay, but it took years. It just would be like, it just strike out of nowhere. And I'm like crippled up, my hands, my feet, and not like you, Tammy. Like never had it like you had it, where I couldn't walk or anything. It's just when it would strike, it was so horribly painful. And then everything they told me could go wrong, like my nails could turn black and never recover. That didn't happen. I just never had that. But my nails
Your
became
teeth get loose.
yeah, oh
Your
yeah,
teeth get loose. Your nails fall out. My toenails fell out.
yeah.
Just
It's like, and I had this weird thing. I don't know if you had this, but I had this what I refer to as my translucent skin. So I'd just be walking along, and all of a sudden the neuropathy thing would hit. But literally, my arms, you could see every vein in my arms and my hands. It was freaky. I don't know. And the doctor's like, "Oh, I've never heard of that." I'm like, "I don't know what that is. It's painful, and it just does this." But then it would recover. So the thing that's interesting about this is, yes, it was a horrible experience. There is nothing that the doctors can tell you that will prevent this. They don't know why I got this. They have no idea what caused it, except for that I was overweight. And so everything's correlated to you being overweight, but they don't ever talk about, well, what do you do to fix that? Everything they tell you is wrong. And then the things that they think cause it is all, me being a glutton, which is like, that is like flaming lying. And everybody who's in these programs, when they talk and they share their story, it's the same thing. None of us are these horrible, weak-willed people. In fact, everybody I've met in this group, any other group I've been in, it's the opposite. We're like people who strive to do the very best. You tell me what to do, tell me how it's going to fix it, I will do it. And even if it's hard, I'll still do it. The problem is they don't have the right answer. And so here we are, finally have the right answer. And so when Dr. Boz was talking about the idea that you can, when she wrote her book, any way you can, and that she helped her mom recover from her cancer, and really, really, we should call it curing it. And all that whole technique of like, we've got to keep our numbers down to a certain level, and then we can change this. I'm like, I'm on for that. Just tell me how to do it, and I will do it as best I can. And there are times when I can't do it as well. I was on vacation last week, and that was a struggle. I didn't actually eat anything off. I just wasn't in my eating window. And so my numbers slowly started going up. And of course, we didn't fast. I wasn't going to continue the fast on the vacation. So we're back on the fast. So my numbers are going to come down again. And so, but I know it's a tool, and I can keep doing it and get there. And I'm really hopeful this time, now that I've got my sleep in order with my sauna. I don't know why that's a miracle, but it is. I think I will be able to make the whole 8.
nice.
Finally. Because the best I've done is 4.5, okay, in a row.
Rebecca, your story, I mean, how many of us have somebody in your life with cancer? Somebody that even if it's not you guys, yourself. This pertains to everybody. And I know sometimes people think, oh, I don't have breast cancer, or I don't have this. And it's like, but most of us have somebody that we're dealing with, somebody that we know that our life touches. And if you don't, you're just blessed. It's just such a blessing. But if the rest of us, I mean, when she's telling these horror stories, and we kind of laugh about them so we don't cry, but the horror side effects that you deal with. But the beauty of all of this is knowing that now that we have the steps, that's why we stay so consistent. That is why Dr. Boz is so strict. That is why this keto, this step-by-step process is so strong and so regimented. It's not because, most of us in here, I mean, I know most of you in this group right now, most of us are not here just to drop 20 pounds. I mean, that is not why we're here. We are here for metabolic health. And when you talk about Rebecca's backstory of her having problems since she was young, I know enough of her backstory to know she's been hypoglycemic and metabolically damaged since a child. So think of how many years of us moving forward. And that does apply to each of you. If you have kids, this applies to you because her damage started long before chemo went in her veins. My damage started. I never ate junk food. I've never been an unhealthy eating person. I've never just carefree ate garbage. I've always been the crazy mom. The That's just who I've always been. But I walked around with fruit smoothies all day. So I can't even imagine what my glucose was.
Mm.
So this does apply to everybody, even if you've never had breast cancer or had cancer in your family. These are things that do affect every one of you that have kids, grandkids, anything like that, moving forward to build metabolic health. And Rebecca, I'm just so proud of your journey. And I know how hard you work because most people, I think that's where I get kind of snarky as a coach that when people are whining because they can't have a pizza on Friday or something, it's like, come on, suck it up. We've got to
Oh,
do
I
this,
wanted pizza.
all
The,
right?
the place where our cabin is, they have the best, they have this place called Pizza Factory. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. But the thing about it, it's not worth it.
It's not.
It's just going to derail. And also, I don't feel good anymore. If I eat anything that I'm not supposed to, I just feel sick.
Yeah.
And it's like I would love to have a glass of wine, sit out on the deck. That's what we used to always do. I
Yep.
can't drink anymore. If I drink, I don't feel good. I might feel good when it's
The
buzzing
moment.
me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, but I can't at all.
The
So it's
other
not
thing that's
worth
really
it.
hard for us, for most of us here, I know me and Rebecca both, but most of you on this page, I know, if we go do that and have the pizza and a glass of wine or something so stupid simple that it's not like we would drink wine every day, to go do that would take me weeks and weeks to recover from and get my
Yeah.
numbers back into healing mode. I
Yeah.
would have to go back into 2, 3 weeks of 72-hour fast, clean fasting to
Mhm.
get those numbers again. Our bodies do not just kick right back in and pick up where we left off. People that's never been sick can recover a lot faster than some of us can. But for the most of us can't do that. A glass of wine or a piece of pizza is enough to throw me off ship
Yeah.
for weeks.
Yeah.
So again, I guess it's just please understand when I get strong with somebody and say, come on, suck it up and do it. It's because I care and I don't want to see you struggle through the mud any longer than you have to. I want to get you over that proverbial hump that we talk about to say you've got to do every step to get that chemistry going in the right direction. Then you can play with it. Then you can learn to juggle those numbers. Then you will know what works for you, but don't wave in and out and jump ship. And, you can't do it Monday through Friday and then goof up on Saturday and think we can fix you on Monday because your health will not let you do that. I mean, it just, you'll go 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. You'll just keep doing that. So what did you ended up coming in? Obviously you found Dr. Boz, you come into coaching. So what does your lifestyle look like now compared to what it used to? What do you do now that is that consistent healing process?
Well, okay, so I did Dr. Boz 21 days last year, right, with you.
Yep.
And then did it again this year. But I've done it, this was the third time, right? And then before that, I did Dr. Boz's when she first did the first consistently keto thing in 2020. So I've done keto with her. Well, actually, before that, I started with Dr. Fung and Dr. Who, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I had a journey. Okay. So when I first started all this, which was in 2016, I was doing somewhat keto, like this best I could find. I hadn't found Dr. Boz yet. I don't think she was really out there so much on YouTube. And so it wasn't until like 2019 that I really discovered her and started doing some of her material. But she didn't have the book yet. She didn't have the course yet. And so then I did the course with her. And that was really eye-opening because I could see that I was kind of dirty keto at the very best. And but we didn't have the support that we have now, and I think the 21 days is a lot better. And then the book wasn't out yet, the workbook or the book. And so over time put all these things into my life. So I've been doing it, but I wasn't able to break through to actually getting my glucose under 100 like every day, like in the morning. until a year ago when I did the 21 days. When I did the 21 days and with Tammy's group, and then we did the brains course, it really helped me to stay consistent with it. And then I've been consistently keto the whole last year. So my life has completely changed on it because I'm checking my numbers every day. If I get off, like my keto mojo thing wasn't working for, like, I couldn't sync it for like 2 months. I mean, it wasn't like I was trying every day. I would try and then I get frustrated and my numbers just went up. I
Yep.
mean, that's just what happened. Somebody's asking, what is the 21 days?
Yeah.
It's
Angel, that's Dr. Boz's course that I coach. I'm one of her metabolic coaches, and we go in, and it's a 21-day boot camp. It's 21 days of kicking your butt, and she does it twice a year. So it's one of those things. Next time it comes up, I'll let you know. But it's an intense. You meet live every day, check your numbers. It's an accountability thing. It's pushing your metabolic health to the limit. And it's just getting you on track and fired up every day for 21 days and making you a priority.
And when they say boot camp, it is a boot camp. I
Oh
mean,
my
it's
gosh,
not
yeah.
for the
But
faint,
I
not
would
for the
just
faint of heart.
no. And I would also say though, listen, if you haven't done like Tammy's coaching or done the consistently keto course, I would not go to 21 days. I mean, that's just you're gonna crash most
You're
people.
gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's so much to do every single day. It's about a 3-hour commitment, and that's just a participant. That's not like somebody like Tammy, who's like one of the leaders. It's really a lot of work, but it makes you understand a lot of things that I didn't understand before, and so that was really good. But I had worked up to it, and the people we've had in the groups, because I've done it 3 times. When I do it, every time I see a few people in the class who didn't do all that, and they really crash and burn. It's hard, really hard for them. You got to be ready for it.
You got to be ready. It's not a cheap course. It's worth every
Oh
penny, but
gosh,
it's not a
then
cheap
there's the
course.
money involved. It's
Yeah.
expensive. Yeah.
But it is so good to make you accountable, and it teaches you so many things. And 21 days of making your health a priority is just a win. It really is.
I really
But
think
something I just wanted to share really quick that I think is really helpful. My husband, who has never really struggled with his weight at all. Okay, he is blessed with incredible genetics. Okay. And so he can, yeah, he can eat horrible and still be fine. Okay. That's just him. And he's super strong and everything else, but he is so supportive of me. And no matter what crazy, stupid diet I've like tried to be on to help me, he's been willing to live it out. No matter what. Okay. Luckily, it hasn't hurt him. But now with this, we're eating primarily carnivore mostly. That's what we're eating. And
Yeah.
so, but like we hardly eat anything. There's nothing in our refrigerator. I mean, it's like there's cream, there's some cheese, not very much, there's butter, and there's generally steaks, okay, or hamburger
And
and
eggs.
eggs and bacon. I mean, that's what's in there.
Yep.
And so we're fasting, like we're doing the 3 days, but because of my schedule, it's easier for us it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then like tomorrow we break our fast, right? Just works better than Sunday. And so for us. And so it's great. It's like for those nights, like we don't fix it anything.
Right.
And so it's nice. It's like
It's great on the budget. It's great on the time.
Yeah.
It's great
Yeah.
on cleaning your kitchen. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah,
want to get back
and
to
you have so much more time, like free time. Like he comes home from work and we can do other things. I mean, it's not, we don't have to worry about dinner. I don't have to worry about dinner. What is dinner? It's going to be probably half a steak. That's what I'm generally eating.
I mean, even if it is a couple eggs, some pork belly, I mean, that takes like 5 minutes to make.
No, you don't have to think about it. The thing
No.
that I hated the most about every lousy diet I've ever been on is so much prep. It's crazy. And then you fall off because you got to be prepared all the time. And what in the heck do you have to prepare with this? It's like, I know what I'm having.
Heat the grill up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't like it. Like for a time there, it was like I was having the steak, but like my husband be cooking it. I'm eating earlier. So I'm eating it leftover. And I decided I don't like that. So it's like I just worked this out. And so it's like it's a matter of just changing the way you're thinking about your whole food thing.
Yeah.
But it's so easy. It's so much easier. Oh my gosh. Every lousy diet, you have to measure every lousy thing that goes in your mouth. You got to measure everything that every liquid that's going in and out. It is so crazy making. And I'm a therapist. Okay. I work with people who have eating disorders. The craziness of diets, I think creates eating disorders.
Absolutely.
Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh. It's everything that if you want to be obsessed with food, put somebody on a diet.
Yeah.
They become obsessed with food.
Make it the
But-
They
focus.
make it that way. But I
Right,
think
but
you're
this,
so
we're
right.
not doing that. We're not doing that at all.
And just know anybody, if you're a newbie starting in, this seems so overwhelming because we're changing so many things at the beginning and so many steps and so many restrictions and so many this. I'm telling you, for every veteran that is on this page, everybody raise your hand. Is this not the easiest thing you've ever done
Oh,
once you
yeah.
get through the struggle? I mean,
Yes.
it's once you get through this chemistry shift, this is the easiest thing you'll ever do. The least time I've ever spent in the kitchen, probably the least money if you weigh it out. It's probably the least money I've ever spent on food. You have more time for family, more time to do things you enjoy. We love traveling. He gets in the car, and when we're fasting, the best way to travel is to fast. We don't have to worry about getting stuff on the road. We're not trying.
As long as I have coffee.
Yeah, that's what I said yesterday. I think I could live on just coffee. Now, it is coffee with cream. Okay, I have to say that.
I'm with
There
you.
will be a day when I don't have to. If my numbers are good enough, I'm not going to worry about it.
Mine's
Okay.
salt and butter.
Salt
Yeah,
and butter.
well,
I'm telling
salt
you.
and butter is
So
fantastic.
we pack a little cooler in our car. We leave next week for vacation, so we're gonna take you guys along with us again. But we're heading down, and we literally pack a little cooler of our salt and our butter and things for in the car, and we get in the car and go. And it is so easy and nice to not have to have snacks and not have to have, oh, what are we gonna do for this? What are we gonna do for that? We just go, and it is so easy. And then it's like, not that we never stop and eat, and we're going to enjoy some things while we're down there next week, but it's one of those, they're going to be purposeful stops, purposeful plans of how are we going to go? What restaurant do we want to go enjoy? There's a big seafood restaurant outside our condo.
Oh,
And it's like, it's going down. I mean, it's one of the, I don't care what time of the day it is, but it's going down
at least once.
at least one. But those kind of things, and it's such a win. So just know, as a newbie, this feels overwhelming, but as a veteran, I am telling you, it is such a blessing. And Rebecca, just to know how far you've come, I know how far I've come. And even if you haven't had cancer, this is what we're telling you, the extremes, so that you can say, look how something so simple that you're dealing with can work for you too. You know, you don't have to have cancer. Don't wait till you have the diagnosis to try to fix it. Get that metabolic health done now. You know, get your body strong now before you get a diagnosis. Then it's not so hard. Then you can just rock it out. I mean, when Lance gets serious and does it, I love watching what his numbers do. I love watching his energy. I mean, it's crazy how his brain works. I mean, I look at him, it's like, dude, I can't slow you down. I can't wear you out. Like, you can't. And it's just, but I love knowing what a healthy metabolism can do. And, you know, he slacks off, and he's not always there either. He doesn't stay at that level. But when we want to hit it and I need to do it, he does it with me. And I think
We turn it on.
we do. And any of you that have the men, I love that we have men in this group, that you're the godly leaders of your family. So lead. And, you know, I don't have to pull him along now. I don't have to ask him and beg him. He's not sitting throwing a fit because I don't have mashed potatoes on his plate. You know, he's
I
not.
couldn't do that anyway.
He's not being. Did everybody see the blog post we put up of, is your inner 2-year-old coming out and throwing a temper tantrum? And it was that part of, that is what that reminds me of, is we have so many, you know, not just men, but so many people that
Just people.
you're addicted.
You're doing a big change. The way you've been living has been taught to you by your grandparents, your parents, you know, your aunts, your
Generations.
uncles, is so many different generations on that's how they did it. So you are breaking all of that, not to say what your own stuff you're breaking. So there's a lot of forces against you trying to change. And it seems like a huge change, but once you get there, it's like, wow.
It's smooth sailing. We got this.
I didn't know it was like this.
Now it's fun. Now we can plan it. Now we know what we're doing when we're traveling. You can travel so cheap. We're a bunch of cheapskates. So it's we have traveled to see Boz with a case full of sardines in our suitcase. So I will tell you that.
But I will say the bad thing is the sardine thing must have got out up here, clear up to Northeast Ohio, because we used to be able to buy sardines for like 99 cents a can.
Oh.
Now they're like 3 for $4, you know, or something like that. They're getting crazy. I'm like, thanks, Dr. Boz.
I think Boz has stock in them or something. So if she don't, she should get a kickback for sardines. But All right, Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing your story. I love
Yes,
it. And
thank
I
you.
love that you have found this journey to use it as a tool. It's a tool you'll have in your toolbox now. Now you don't have to go jump into a million different diets. You know exactly what to do when you need to do it.
And so glad you're here.
And yes, you are just a blessing. And thank you, Warrior Sister, because there's not many of us triple negative girls still out there hanging in. So I appreciate you being along this journey with you, and I love you for it. So it's
And make
awesome.
just, I have to say it, make sure you go check your heart, please.
Right? That's what the damage that my chemo did presented itself as a lovely heart attack for me last year, a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
Well,
So
they after 5 years, okay, when I decided to do reconstructive surgery, as I was going through that process, which of course it was supposed to be one surgery. It was 7
Oh my gosh.
because of the complications that I had. And my plastic surgeon's like, wow, I've never had anything like this. What was sad was I then became the poster child that he would show. He asked me, he was very nice,
Oh,
asked me if other women would come in. And if you have ever seen how bad breast reconstructions can go, mine looked good compared to these poor women that were being taken care of by the other plastic surgeons in our area. And they would come in tears. And they're like, please, can you fix this? And then I'm sitting in there having one of my checkups for what the latest thing we're doing. And then the nurse would come in and say, we have another woman who's in really bad shape. She really wants to know she can trust him. Could she take a look? And I'm like, okay. And I'd done it before
right.
for other women. But the thing is, mine was like his biggest disaster, but it was so much better than these other poor women were,
that's
because
crazy.
he was skilled, okay? But the thing is, and he repaired a lot of the damage done in the original mess. I couldn't even lift my arm up, okay, because it was so tight in my armpit. And so he was able to fix a lot of these things, but there were complications. Why? Because I have this insulin resistance problem. And so everything that could go wrong went wrong. And it took months and months and months. But what I was going to say about this is, even though you go through all these things and you're working so hard, if you don't have insulin resistance going into it, it wouldn't be this bad.
You're so much further ahead of the ball game. And I don't care what your surgery is. I don't care what your ailment is. I don't care what your therapy is. I don't care what you're trying to do. Controlling that insulin and not being insulin resistant is key to good healing. I mean, there's just
and
no
then
way around
then if you don't, and I was going to go back to the sardine thing. Okay, I do not like sardines. I liked them as a kid, but they were on crackers and they were in tomato sauce, and I don't know why. But now I just, okay. But here's the thing. The worst day of doing just a sardine fast for 3 days is so much better than any of these treatments.
No.
Then
Right?
one day I would take 3 days of sardines
Yeah.
over one day of chemo. And
Right?
Week of sardine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like there's no comparison. So it's pretty much like that with, I think, any kind of treatment for like cancer or any of these things. It's awful. It's like, if we're doing this, we're supposed to be preventing it. And I pray that we really do. So,
And it's just that part of when we say we can do hard things, giving up pizza on Friday isn't hard. It's annoying. It's a pain in the butt. It is not hard. Giving up my handful of, or my Baby Bell cheese in my fridge 3 times a day because I just want it. It's annoying. It's not hard.
And it passes, right? That's
it does.
Weird. Is it passes.
Letting them shoot red
death into your
with
vein.
triple gloves on so that it doesn't burn them. That's rough. That's hard. But
and so you have to willingly just let them do this.
Yep.
It so plays with your brain. I mean, oh my gosh, what am I doing to my body? Why am I doing this? I don't want to do this at all. And yet there you are, passively letting them put this stuff in you because that's supposed to save your life. And I am sitting here. I'm not saying
I mean,
they didn't do that.
You know, and as much as we talk about, don't take a medication, but I don't want to take a medication till I've done my work.
Yeah.
If I've done my work and my body still needs help, okay, then I will. But, I'm not going to sit at home and try to brew different teas and read my organic stuff to try to kill triple negative cancer. I mean, that was just not my choice. It might be somebody's choice, but it was not mine. And I think,
and are they still here? That's all.
Right.
I don't know. And that's not discounting what God can do. I mean, I'm not saying,
Absolutely.
Yep.
it's just that
We're
you know,
here for a purpose. God's
Yeah.
got a plan, and I'm going to preach it from the mountaintops till my last breath. So I'm glad you're here with me, Rebecca. We just love you. Does anybody want to come and check in? Anybody have questions
Questions,
first of all,
yes.
questions for Rebecca before she scoots? And if not, does anybody want to check in? Who's coming? Diana, you've been sitting there awful quiet. You want to come in? Anybody? Olivia, I know you, Olivia always wants to check in. Clay, who wants to check in? Come on. You guys.
Ooh.
I'll
Go,
check
Liv.
in. Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank Rebecca for telling us our story. It's, just very moving, very inspiring, and, just your determination to take care of yourself and get better. So thank you so much for sharing that. And last week I did week 7 of my 8 in a row. And at the end of it, it was ended on Wednesday. And that's when we went to visit our friends in Kansas City for a few days. And my glucose was 39 and ketones were 8.6 and the DBR was 4.
4. Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
4.
I did. I think I mentioned it when we were all together last time. I went ahead and made some breakfast casserole, a carnivore breakfast casserole, and took it with me on the airplane. And then also made like 2 packages of bacon so that I would have that as well. And but when we got there, of course, I couldn't carry liquid, so I didn't have I usually have my electrolytes in some seltzer water. And so because I didn't have that, and she's like, oh, I have seltzer water. So I said, okay. So I looked at the ingredients, it said 0, but I was too quick to use it. And after a while, I'm like, this is tasting kind of sweet. And I used unflavored electrolytes. So I looked at the bottle again, and lo and behold, it had natural flavors, which, sometimes you don't know because it just says natural flavors, even though the carbs say 0, you don't know what kind of flavors it is in there. But I knew it was enough that I figured it was going to affect my glucose, and it did, because I had, like, I don't know, 24 ounces total for the day. So I was really bummed about that. But at least I got my electrolytes in. So we had a good time. And she is about, the wife is about 7 years younger than I am. We've become very good friends. The husbands knew each other in college, kind of thing. And so there's a lot of camaraderie and just a good time with them. But she started, when I told her I had brought some breakfast casserole, I didn't know whether she would be offended by it, because here I am visiting them and I'm bringing in food. But no, she was really open to it and was really, happy to have that and did partake of it. The interesting thing was she started asking questions. It's like, why do you eat this way? How come you don't, because they offered certain things and I would say no. My husband, of course, would say yes. And then in the evening, they wanted to have wine and that kind of thing. And I was like, no, thank you. And I'll just drink my electrolytes, which had some sweetener in it. But anyway, I just told them a little bit about why I did what I did and why I do what I do. And so she started asking even more questions. So at the end of the 4 days that we were there, they've decided to do this. So both of them are doing it. And, she's been FaceTiming with me. She's been calling me. She's wanting recipes. She's wanting, I don't really push this on people. I just try to lead by example. And so I'm really happy about that, because they are both, from what I can tell, I'm sure they're insulin resistant. They're quite overweight. The husband is starting to have like trembling in his arm, and so I know that he probably has the beginning of Parkinson's. We didn't talk about that because I didn't really know how sensitive that subject might be at this point. But they've already lost some weight, and they're feeling like inflammation's going down. So I'm really, really excited about that. And let's see what else. So then this week I did my week 8, and I finished yesterday. And I think because of that sugar in the natural flavors in that seltzer.
You're gonna blame it on that.
I know, right? And we did go to a jazz club, and the three of them, including my husband, had some wine and whatnot. I didn't have any, just drank some water. But I did take a few bites of the dessert. And so I know that I was not in the ketosis that I normally am going into my last fast. So my glucose was down to 57, the ketones were 7.5, and the DBR was 7. So
Slacker.
it could have been better, but hey, I'm okay. I'm okay with the 7.
Olivia,
Good
you are
job.
you are such an inspiration.
I want to throw something out real quick so it doesn't freak out the beginners. I mean, Olivia is very keen to what she's doing. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows her goals and what she talks about. Don't fret, beginners, because she's complaining about a DBR of 7 as opposed to 4. She has done this.
She's done the work, though.
repeatedly. She's a professional. I mean, she is.
Olivia is part of our team. She's a
Absolutely.
veteran at this. She travels. She knows how to do this. Her husband's a pilot, so they fly around the world. She knows how to do this on the go. So
But
first of all,
beginners, just this is the potential that's out there. I don't want anybody to be scared about it, but she's serious at what she does. And when you get serious about it, these are the kind of numbers you talk about.
and a great beginner lesson. Did you hear what she said about the zero carb? The drink she was having was 0 carbs, but it had natural flavors in it. And when she tasted it, she knows there's some sweetener in it. Just because it says natural flavors does not mean it's okay. It can say 0 carbs, so it will fit perfectly into your macros. Same thing with like the cream. It will fit perfectly into your macros, but just don't be fooled by thinking that is going to build health, because that natural flavor garbage that they're allowed to put in it, that the US allows this stuff to get put in there, you don't know what it is. So it's a crapshoot. So that's not worth it.
Think about it this way too. An apple is natural. An orange is natural, but it's still going to raise your glucose.
It's still not okay. So that's a great lesson though, of how many of us, oh, you turn the can around. Oh, it's 0 carbs. You're good. Nope, you're not. I mean, it's going to jack you up either way. So you either go with plain, no flavor. That's where the, what are they called? I don't have one.
The LMNT,
No, the green one, the bottles, the green bottle,
Perrier,
the Perrier water that has no flavor in it, no nothing. It's just club soda, just
San Pellegrino too.
San
Pellegrino,
Pellegrino.
that's the
That's
one I
it.
was thinking.
Pellegrino.
Those ones they're just plain, and it's just so much easier. I take those, put a slice of lemon or lime in it.
Soda Stream.
Soda Stream does the same thing at home, those kind of things. But something as simple as grabbing a seltzer water that says 0 carbs is enough to take her numbers. For Olivia, that's a rough number. We know what her body can do and what her chemistry can do, and something that simple can really change it. Okay, so Angel's asked, she had asked me earlier about 8 weeks. She was talking about 8 weeks in a row of fasting. Angel, you're not there. That's advanced levels. Don't even worry about that right now. You asked about the flavored coffee. Absolutely. As a beginner, yes. If you want to buy the flavored coffee that has pumpkin spice in it for right now inside your eating window, okay. As you get cleaner and cleaner down the road, we will wipe all that out. You will, first of all, you will learn how to test and know how to check your own numbers to see if it's affecting you. It may not affect you right now, and that may change down the road. Or as we all get better at this and cleaner at this, we want to wipe out all those flavors. We want to wipe out anything that's just caca, because I just don't want it in my body. Not because it won't fit in your numbers or you can't do it. It's just, I don't want artificial crap in my body if I don't have to.
And it goes along with your journey too, because you'll see improvements and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I like that improvement. I feel good. How did I get there? Okay, I didn't have this. Oh, okay, that's a good trade-off. I can do that.
Yeah.
You start building on that momentum every time. And then at one point you'll get to where, hey, I know what I want to do. I don't want that. I want to feel better. So
and it's
a
journey.
progression. It is
one step at a time. You will get there. So as I answer that for Angel being a beginner, she drinks them all. That's awesome. As a beginner and you have a flavored coffee, here's what I say. Use that stuff up. I wouldn't waste it. Use it up, put it inside your eating window. But when you go to buy more, you buy better. You buy up. We buy better quality. But I mean, we laugh now. We're meat snobs and coffee snobs. So
yep. You know what's the funny thing? I used to put 2 teaspoons of sugar in my coffee. Now I put 2 teaspoons of salt.
How your,
It's totally crazy.
your taste buds change. I love it. All right. Good job.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you, Olivia.
Awesome job.
Keith, come and check in. We need some of the guys check in. Come on. Clay and Keith need check in. Us girls always talk.
I'll check in. So I went to Keto Palooza in Louisville
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That was great.
How was that?
It was.
We're going to do it one of these days.
It was my second year, and I think they've maxed out that room. It was, I think, 300, and it was up to 350. But met some, just had so much encouragement. I mean, it was great. Dr. Barry was there, Ben Azadi was there.
Nice.
The two crazy ketos were there, except for one of them. Rachel was there. He was stuck by the hurricane.
Oh, man.
The creator of Chris Bear, what is he the creator of? I can't even remember. Keto Chow. Yeah. He spoke. His talk was great. Maria Emmerich was there, and then there was somebody else, but all of my local boss tribe was there, so the four of us went. It was great. It was tiring, but it was just really encouraging. We typically eat our fish at the lunch, but we went to lunch and we went out to dinner in the hotel, but like other keto people that just were there and we joined them. So it was just really good, but I'm doing great. I've been in ketosis since the end of August every day. So that's good. So during the 21-day metabolic kick, I was not taking insulin and then had to slowly add that back. But I just keep working the continuum, and I just finished a fish fast yesterday, or sardine challenges, as they call it down south. So yeah, I don't know why we started calling them fish fast, but anyways, so that really helped. My wife did it with me.
Good.
And so during the fish fast or the sardine challenge, I didn't have to use insulin. And my numbers have continued to come down. So
does everybody hear what Clay just said on that? That he took so just so everybody understands, he was in my class in the 21-day. Clay stayed so diligent and jumped in there with both feet, never looked back. And by the end of 21 days, he was off his insulin. That's huge for a diabetic.
Absolutely.
Clay wasn't taking a little bit of stuff. He was taking a whole lot. So, and first of all, I want to say, Clay, you look great. Like you can see it in your face. You got the glow, the difference of you from the end of the 21 day.
Yeah, the great thing is knowing. I mean, it is, and I'm, one of the speakers at Keto Palooza was like, it's not about chasing the ketones, but for me, it's like I've got this traction, I've got this success. I don't want to do anything to go backwards and have to go through this process again. I mean, it's. I'll skip a meal. I'll just, if I can't eat for 36 hours, that's fine. Because I want to protect those ketones.
Yeah.
Not that that's the end all be all, but it's just been really helpful. I'm using chronometer every day. I think somebody said, it's the simple, repetitive, easy meals. For me, my favorite thing to eat is 8 ounces of ground beef and 2 tablespoons of butter. I can measure it. It's cheap. It's available everywhere.
It's easy.
If I can't get it, I will get it at a McDonald's and I'll smash those burgers up.
Yep.
And they actually have real butter at McDonald's. I mean, I'm not doing that very often, but if it's in a pinch, I'll eat that. But it's and I think my glucose is coming down because I've adjusted my sleep to where I'm sleeping at night, my eating windows during the day, and I'm taking those first. My fasting numbers are in the morning instead of at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that all of those things have worked together. And I'm insulin resistant. I'm going to be for a long time. I figured up when she said I wasn't taking a low dose of insulin. In the last 5 years, I've had 275,000 units of insulin. That's a lot of insulin.
Yep.
That's a lot. So Clay,
I don't know.
first of all, I just want to say kudos to you because I know the work that you've done and how far you've come. So I am so proud of you. And if when you're talking to a diabetic out there that thinks you're diabetic, go home, be diabetic. No, you can control it. And when you've seen his numbers change in 21 days, you know what that proved to us? His diabetes was controlled by what he put in his mouth, by what he did. And that is out there for every diabetic out there, every type 2. And I know people get mad at me when I say that, but type 2 is a choice. Type 2 is a choice. You've got to choose what you put in your mouth. You can control this. And to watch somebody as diabetic as Clay was, he wasn't a little bit diabetic, he's a whole lot diabetic. And to watch that man do the work, buckle down, give up the things that he needed to give up, do what he needed to do to turn his health around. I mean, that is phenomenal that he can get to the point of not needing insulin. So if you're diabetic, jump in. This is how you fix it and reverse it. So he doesn't have heart damage and all the issues or lose a foot and losing limbs every time and can't heal once his body, starts losing and can't heal, then he's going to lose limbs and it's just going to progress and get worse. So the kidneys, everything that is affected by that. So Clay, I am so proud of you.
Good job, brother.
Angel has a bunch of questions here. What happens if you do a sardine fast? Nothing right now. Angel, you could do a sardine fast at any time. There's no harm, no foul in a sardine challenge. It's easier if your chemistry is ready. It's easier if you've already cleaned some things up. So that might be, something you might be ready for. We can talk about that offline. Is type 2 when you're taking insulin? Yeah, type 2 is when you're waking up. Basically, you're diabetic if you're waking up, or pre-diabetic at best. If you're waking up and your morning glucoses are over 100, 110. So if that waking fasting glucose is over 100, you're either pre-diabetic or headed there. So be mindful of that. Even if you're not taking insulin, most of us are. I was pre-diabetic and I was just never diagnosed because I was skinny and looked fine. So nobody checked me for diabetes. I was fine. No, I was not. She's diabetic but does not take insulin. Yep, that's what we all start with until you don't.
Yeah, I was diabetic for 19. Well, I am. I mean, I'm still diabetic. If I eat something bad, it's going to go right back. But so for 19 years, and it started with you take metformin once a day, then twice a day, and then you take a little bit of insulin, and then you take a whole lot of insulin, and then you take fast acting insulin, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Meanwhile, the nutritionist at the hospital, who directed me to the what the American Diabetes Association said to eat, 90 grams of carbs 3 times a day.
I just want to say they're just out
grams.
to make some money
Wow.
in a business, to teach you, to somebody that already has too much glucose in their system, to go tell them to put more in is just ignorant to me. Like, that is not even common sense.
That fires up.
That gets me so mad that if you're filling the cup up and the cup is overflowing, common sense tells you to quit pouring into the cup.
Yeah.
If our body is overflowing with glucose, stop putting it in.
Yeah. Right.
Let your body adjust, let your body clean out, but stop putting it in. Man, that gets me.
I mean, that's 270 grams of carbs that they want you to.
And even my doctor, I went back to him and he was like, I'm not sending anybody to her ever again. He was like, that's too much for a diabetic.
It's too much for anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we took in a foster child that was a type 1 diabetic. And I'm telling you, when I had to go learn how to do her numbers and keep care of everything, I left the class furious because she could tell her she could go eat a bag of M&Ms for lunch. Just make sure you count your numbers and inject properly. It's okay. No, to a child. She was a kid. She could have feet by the time she's 40.
Well, her glucose was like 400 one day.
I mean,
it was stupid.
Craziness. So it's just, Clay, again, I'm just proud of you for what you're doing. But anybody out there, diabetic, you can fix this. Reach out. We will help you. It takes time. It's a process. It's not easy.
You're not going to fix it overnight, but you're going to take one step towards the goal every day.
And you can do hard things. Losing a foot is hard. Losing a limb is hard. Losing your boobs is hard. not eating enough, too many carbs, it's annoying, but get over it. I mean,
Well, and so and as we say, you got to work Dr. Boz's continuum, because
Yep.
we've learned the tools. I use my blood test every day and chronometer to track my food, so that I know if there's something that triggered an uptake or an up in my glucose, and I immediately correct that.
Yep.
And just keep going forward and push forward.
And once you learn how to read your chemistry, you will do that for the rest of your life. If you want to reintroduce something, if you want to see, hey, can my body handle this or handle that? You're going to take it and try it. We had Sarah over in the group, she was here. Was it Sarah or Angel talking about the cream?
Sarah's just, she can't be here. She's driving. So,
okay. If she's listening in, Sarah, I hope it was a great question. She's just pounding the cream right now, because it fits in her macros and she's trying to get her fats up. As beginners, we've all done that. We've all, like, cream is just the hug that we all need right now. But she's getting advanced chemistry. So that advanced chemistry is going to need her to cut back on that cream. And cream isn't always a friendly fat to most of us. And those things will happen and change. And that progression of having to do it step by step, it's okay at the beginning. But once we start cleaning it up at the end, those are things that will change and will wipe out and get better.
it's just steps that you take. I mean,
It's a progression.
as you gain experience, as you gain momentum, things will change. What's good today may not be good 4 weeks from now. So, I mean, give yourself enough grace to go through those changes to get you into the place that you need to be.
Yeah. Sweeteners are the same. Another conversation. One of these days, we're going to do another talk on the sweeteners. They say 0 carbs, 0 everything, but I'm telling you, if I use anything other than a drop of, literally the smallest drip I can get to come out of stevia is the only thing I can put in that doesn't jack my numbers up. If I use any other sweetener in there, my numbers will be a mess. Even if it's 0 carbs, 0 everything, it's not okay. Sugar alcohol's in there. Oh, nope. Go to Starbucks, get the sugar-free vanilla in it. Nope.
Still not good.
It still messes me up. I mean, you will learn these things. And that's the difference of Dr. Boz's step by step by step. We're not chasing ketones. We're chasing my chemistry. And if my chemistry can handle it, or your chemistry can handle it, then more power to you. But if your chemistry can't handle it, then is it worth giving up your health to have sugar-free alcohol or sugar-free vanilla in my coffee? No, it's not worth it. Trade-off. Pizza with my kids, or sugar in my sugar-free vanilla in my coffee at Starbucks on Saturday, or Christmas with my kids next year. That's how I look at it. It's that easy. So you guys will get there. Any questions? How are we doing over there?
Everybody's
didn't
good.
even ask. Everybody good over there?
No questions over here.
Hey, everybody
YouTube's
good?
kind of quiet. They're just listening in.
Come on in, Diana.
Yeah, I have a question about my son. He's a type 1 diabetic, and I see him. I mean, it's awful thinking, right? Just like, oh, well, if I eat too many carbs, I just have to increase my insulin. Is there a program for type 1 diabetics using keto?
Right here. Right here.
They would follow, they'd be able to adapt with their body's inability to secrete insulin?
Absolutely. Not absolutely. He may never secrete insulin. That may, if his pancreas is totally.
Yeah, no, it's dead. They're dead.
So if it's dead, but the process of how much insulin he would have to inject will decrease that so much. It's the same as, think of it, do we want tonnage of insulin just freely floating around in our bodies, or do we want him injecting tonnage? So the same thing with that little girl that we brought in as a foster kid. I mean, it was that, no. It's get the insulin down, whether you're type 1, type 2, pre, whatever, it's getting that insulin down. We've had type 1s in here. I've had type 1s in the 21-day metabolic kick. I have type 1s in this. It is phenomenal when you can see even a type 1, because most of the time type 1's like, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You've just got to be as diligent as we are. I
guess I didn't know if some of the symptoms came from the glucose or from the insulin.
Okay. So again, it's that you've got to do the 12 steps of the chemistry shift. You've got to build that chemistry shift, because again, we want that glucose coming down, because the ketones will go up. And, a type 1, you're going to get scared to death the first time the ketones start to rise. So you got to get that glucose coming down and work on that glucose coming down before those ketones start going up. It's that long, slow chemistry shift to get them going, but it's phenomenal when you see it happen. And then when their meds get decreased and you're not having to take so much, and they learn, it's the same control that we need to learn. The same, okay, I don't need a bag of M&Ms. I don't need Baby Bell cheese 3 times a day. I don't, when you learn those habits and break those habits in your brain, then your body starts functioning right again, whether the insulin is coming from the pancreas or coming from an injection.
I guess, it's so easy to say, oh, my poor son, he's a type 1 diabetic and, he died without insulin. So I guess it's okay that his A1C is 7. No, it's not.
No, it's not. No, it is not. All the more reason it's not an excuse. And it's just one of those, I have people that I love dearly that sit here, I can't do that because I'm type 1. Yes, you can. Yes.
It's just like she just touched on it a minute ago. Whether we're making it, or whether we're making the insulin or you're injecting it, you still don't want insulin in your system. An overabundance of insulin is not good. So either way, if you can bring that glucose down so you don't need as much insulin to put out that fire, that only makes sense.
Yeah.
So if it's good for us and we're making it, it still would be good for your son who has to inject it.
Right.
Bring him in. I'd be happy to help, Diana. Come on in.
I don't know if he's anywhere close, but at least I can begin to.
Okay,
so here's a mind shift.
Okay, but here's the thing I'm going to challenge you, Diana.
Yeah.
He can't eat it if you don't bring it home.
He's up in Washington, so it's just on my visits, and I'm not going to be bringing him.
Oh,
stuff,
man. Yeah, that might be tough.
All right.
Well,
you got to bounce.
Let me say this real quick.
Yes.
Diana, I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you go back to the history of how doctors treated diabetics before insulin was invented, they did a ketogenic diet. That's what they did. That's what they survived on. Because before they had insulin, what these people were dying unless they put them on a high fat diet, really high fat.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so they lived. So it's only been since, what is it, like the 30s or something when they came up with insulin? So like, how did people survive? Well, they had a plan. They just stopped using that plan once they invented insulin.
Money.
Easy fix and money.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah. And then
metformin. Dr. Jason Fung's, he has 2 books, The Obesity Code and the Diabetes Code, or and they're really like 2 books, but so read Obesity Code first, and then, but he explains exactly what Rebecca said, that that's exactly how and so he will need less insulin if he's in a ketogenic state.
And there's so many doctors out there. I mean, we love us, Dr. Barry, Dr. Mindy, all of them that are doing it. I think the part that I love about it is Dr. Boz is the one that teaches us to read the numbers and know your chemistry. That is a little bit different than everybody else out there. And that's what I love about it, though, is that there is that accountability, especially, people that we have chronic illness, we have major diseases that I'm trying to overcome. I don't want to guess at it. If I would just go watch some YouTube videos, need some fat, need some protein, and not know, I could eat fat and I've ate nothing but fat and protein for about 5 years. That's about all I eat. And I still have to juggle it to get the numbers right. To know that I'm in a healing mode and not in an inflammatory mode.
It's how much you want to focus on what you're doing.
It's hard. I mean, but it's like, I think that, but that is why I love this so much. That is why I love and know we're in the right place.
Diana, I would say keep asking questions, keep going until you find the answer that fits in your brain. Will this work for my son? Or what can I do for my son? Or what can I,
how old is he?
He's 30.
But he's still your son. I mean, don't stop until you get that answer that you're looking for.
My baby boy. Are you kidding?
Absolutely.
I got one of them too. So I feel for you. And it's but you know what? He fights it. He's had chronic asthma since he was born. He's had compromised lungs, on a breathing machine, carries nebulizer around, everything. And he knows when he's in ketosis and doing good. He's riding a bike now. He's doing things. He's running with the kids, playing football with the Maddox. I mean, he's doing all the things. And as soon as he gets tired of it, because he gets tired of hearing mom and his wife moan and groan about it or whatever, he'll go off, and sooner or later you see him carrying around his puffer again and his nebulizer again, and he goes back. But you know what? You watch him to lead by example, and you watch him wave in and out, and I now find him, I'm 5 years in, and I now find him in more than he's out.
Yep.
That's great.
So you'll get there.
It's that shift, that mind shift.
And help him, because but he's got to want to do it. And at 30 years old, we can't make him anymore. And that's the hard part. But, Adam can't breathe, your son with insulin, I mean, those are big issues to deal with. And
And I just look at his 4 beautiful granddaughters, all under the age of 6. And, it's a little bit of, life's crazy, taking care of 4 little girls at home, and his wife works full time. He works full time, but he wants to be around for those 4
Right.
little girls, so.
And if you haven't taken the brains course yet, just know the sugar that the kids are eating right now and developing that brain and that hippocampus in their brain right now is what's determining. It's a direct link to their future, to how their brain will develop, how they will hold a job, how they will have a relationship, how they will be married. All of those things are being affected right now. The things that we are trying to repair and turn around. Oh, to have a do-over on the
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I mean, just the benefits that we know we could change right now. So I encourage you as a grandma, lead by example, get your son on board as soon as you can.
Do what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
And call me or reach out as soon as you get the go. I would be happy to jump in and help any way we could. Yep. That's awesome.
She gets fired up about that.
I just want to do over. I take my kids back and it's like, all right, let's just start over. Let's just because as adults, it's like we can see it in ourselves. Look at the damage that we've all had. We can see it in ourselves. But then when you look at your kids, it's like I had the crazy household that, I sent my kid to school with a colon cleanse in his lunchbox.
You almost get the thing of I did that. I made that.
I made his problem.
Good, bad, and indifferent. I made that.
I did that. I did that to him. And I feel awful. Come on in, Olivia.
I didn't know if Diana, there's one thing that I'm going to do with my grandkids this Christmas. And my sons, I'm going to give them a book that Maria Emmerich just came out with. It's a cookbook with sugar-free recipes for kids. And I haven't seen it yet, but I ordered it and it's supposed to be really good. Some of the recipes the children can help themselves as well, kind of cook together with the parents. So I don't know. It's just something that I thought I would do with my grandkids. I don't know.
Yep.
Every little step.
And you guys, we're getting ready. We're relaunching our Keto Kids program off of Facebook and putting it over on our private platform. It's something we're working on. It's just taking a little longer to build than we planned. But those are the kind of things that we're going to share how to do over there. That is, we need help for the kids. We've got to give these parents help. We've got to give the moms help, the dads help to get these kids on board. And again, they can't eat it if we don't buy it and bring it home. So that we do have a little bit of a captive audience. They can't always control what's going on at school, but we can control what's under my roof. And no different than you would let them drink and drug and anything else. Sugar is as much of an addiction in the brain and a hindrance as alcohol, drugs, anything else. But you've got to learn, choose it. Not that my kids are never going to go have a birthday cake and go to a party and have birthday cake or whatever, Pepsi and a pizza. It's not that that's never going to happen, but it's not going to be the everyday thing under my roof. I mean, my grandkids are old enough now. When they come to Nana's house, they come carrying groceries if they want me to cook something for them. Besides meat.
Because they know we don't have anything here.
I mean, there's nothing in our fridge but meat and eggs and butter. I mean, my kids come over and they open up the fridge like they're going to stand there and find something. And I just laugh like, I don't know what you're looking for, but keep looking. And it's just, we look homeless or poor or something, but it's like, it's just meat, butter and eggs. And
we are. No.
Right, we are. So it's just, but you'll get there, lead by example. And the kids are the way. The kids are the future, and we got to get to that generation. So it'll be good. Any other questions this week? I know we're running over.
One of the things that they said at Keto Palooza was just how epidemic diabetes is. And they're calling Alzheimer's, I believe, type 3 diabetes.
Absolutely. Yep.
And the generation of kids and the number of children that are being diagnosed with adult onset or type 2 diabetes.
Yep.
It was just mind-blowing.
It's unreal. Yep.
And if you think of it, we were active kids. We were the kids, the generations that were go play, go do.
One of the last generations
to go play. At least we burn off some of that glucose. We burn off some of that extra storage that we got and everything like that. But when you look at these kids now, how many of them are growing up on a keyboard, looking at a screen? They don't go play. They don't do sports. They don't go run. They don't go disappear and play in the woods and build a fort all day. They sit and build a fort online. And I think there is something different in that generation of these kids aren't out burning that extra glucose off. It's storing on as fat. It is packing on early, which is putting them at risk for diabetes so much sooner than what we are as adults. I mean, the thought of my grandkids being diabetic is just mind-boggling. But I mean, you look at it and it's like what they're so used to eating. It's just hard.
Yep.
It's you're breaking habits, you're breaking generational curses, you're breaking addictions in their brain. You know, their little brains are just as addicted as ours are as adults. I mean, they are, if not worse. So, all
Thank
right,
you
guys.
so much,
Thank you,
Rebecca.
guys. Yes, thank you for
Thank
coming
you
in,
for
Thank
sharing.
you, Rebecca.
sharing your story.
Thank
Don't
you,
forget,
everybody.
Hack Your Health tickets are on sale. This is
Yes.
the lowest price they're going to be as of October 31st. They will progressively be going up. So keep in mind of that. If you want to use our code JTK for $100 off your entrance ticket.
$100 off.
If you're going to go to a conference, this is one of our favorite. We love Robin. We love what she's doing. There is so much information.
And you got plenty of time to make
Yes.
your arrangements, reservations, all because it's not until November 2025.
So get your tickets now, put it on your calendar,
Yep.
and we will see you there. We do have vacation coming up next week, so please get over in the Facebook group as I figure out what classes I will be teaching, won't be teaching, groups, everything like that. I will post everything in that big support group, the Healthy Families Begin at Home group. Everything will be there. So all my coaching classes, I think, are going to work out great because we have an extra week in October. So we're going to take that 5th week and we're scooting out of here. But that first week in November will still be gone, and we're going to Florida. So we're not worried. We're not sure about how the Wi-Fi and everything's going to be when we get to our condo. So we will, all the stuff as we figure it out will be posted over in the group. We'll take you with us. We're going to show you how we travel and rock this out. We're going to go enjoy ourselves a little bit, but we're also we don't jump ship when we do this. So this is where I hope we can lead by example and show you how we do the best we can do, and a little bit of downtime, a little bit of everything. So
No quiet time.
no quiet time. So, all right. Thank you, guys. We love